All right, troops.
Excellent.
My favourite power couple. How are you getting on?
Not too bad. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just
Yeah.
looking forward to Christmas, although I don't think everyone is saying that right now.
Oh, yeah.
But don't worry. Like, see, by the time this actually goes out, it'll be New Year, so people will be like,
Oh,
"Oh,
that's
fuck the topic Christmas already."
Mm.
So there we go.
Plan in advance.
Yes.
Well, yeah, we're looking forward to a great 2024.
Yeah, that's going to be the same with a lot of people. Like, because we're doing pre-recordings, I'm going, right, what does people's futures hold for 2024? But we'll get to that in a minute, because this is an interesting one, because Christopher John Stephen has been on the show before. So normally when I do a return of episode, it's catching up what we've been doing. But Debbie, you've never been on before.
No, I haven't.
We've got a 50-50 split of how we're going to do this. So my plan was to start with you, Debbie, because as Christopher will be aware, I start off with finding out about our guest's origin story, because that's the one thing we all have in common. We all have an origins.
Okay.
So Debbie, for my audience, tell us your origin story. And I'll start you off with the straightforward question. Where were you born?
Okay. In England, down south coast called Portsmouth.
Ah. Now I've got to ask, why did you come to Scotland?
Blame my father. No, what happened was that when I was 3 years old, he got offered a new job position that ended up being based up in Aberdeen. So what ended up happening is, well, when I was 3, I didn't have a choice because I was 3. And we all moved up to Aberdeen. And we drove there.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a
pretty much
very
been
long
traveling
drive.
ever since.
How long is that drive actually? Like from Aberdeen to Portsmouth?
Well, we've done it quite a few times. So, yes, most of my summer holidays when I was a kid was driving up and down from Aberdeen down to Portsmouth. And
you
then
could get it down to Fine North, you could probably do about 7-8 hours, can't you?
pretty much, yeah, if you do at least 2 stops, if you do just 2 stops, then you're fine.
Wow.
Look at this face.
I thought it was bad, like us going, because Alison's brother stays down in Hull, and that's about 4.5 hours from from Coatbridge down to there. And I was like, that's enough for me. Bloody hell. I mean, I've
No,
done
the
them
main technique is if you try and leave Aberdeen about 4:30 in the morning, try and avoid Glasgow at about rush time. That way, by the time you get out on to the M74 down, everyone's going north, you're going south. Everything is fine.
I love that. See, when you said north there, you sounded very Portsmouthian. You went very north.
North.
Yeah,
I
it
think
was just.
I think it's just my accent, because I think I've told you this several times, where depending on whereabouts I travel and move or work, people think I am from completely different countries. So I always imagine myself having a massive roulette wheel behind me, as is right. If you don't mind me, Hen, you're not from around here, are you? No, take a guess. I have all sorts of accents. I've had Irish, I've had Canadian, I've had American, South African, South American, German at one point, Irish, Welsh. I've had all.
Wow.
Very rarely I get people saying, I can say, you got a bit of like a wee Aberdonian twang. I'm like, damn. I don't have it. I really don't have it.
That's brilliant.
You've got it more than I have.
Well, I mean, look, see, I think I mentioned it in the show last time. Like, my father's from Aberdeen and my mother's from Lanarkshire, where I live now. So just got this sort of hybrid Scottish accent. You can sort of place it, but you can't tell where I'm from in Scotland.
So technically, you're from Edinburgh.
Okay. Well, that's what I did call it my Ewan McGregor accent, because you can every movie he's in, he's got the Scottish accent. He's like, yeah, I can tell he's Scottish, but just can't place him at all in Scotland.
Did you realise that he's from Fife?
Yeah, I know that, but
it
it doesn't sound like he's from Fife. I've been to Fife.
Oh, I love this, because essentially I could now take a back seat and just let you two have an argument. And I'm like, okay, this is just great viewing. Right. So since I'd already asked Christopher how you two had met, but this is essentially a quality and training purposes to make sure he got it right. So how did you two meet?
I was helping out.
The face. Oh crap! He's put me on the spot here.
No.
It's not that. I hope I got it right. The first time I met Chris, I was introduced to him through a mate who was organising a comedy show at a place called The Tunnels up in Aberdeen. And I was just helping out by the door, as you do. I wasn't really interested in all the comedy stuff and whatnot, just helping out by the door. And then he says, I wanted to introduce you to tonight's host. It's Chris. I'm like, oh, how'd you doing? Whatnot. Never think much about it. And then it was kind of like hang out as general friends and whatnot. And then he asked me out. Well, actually, the night before he asked me out, I actually suffered from heat stroke while I was working in KFC.
Oh,
And because I used to work in KFC during the summer holidays when I was up in Aberdeen.
yeah.
And I said to him, listen, I've had a really bad heat stroke. I'm not going to be the most fittest company. So I went, I didn't realize it was a date. And I wore this, like, I always remember this, like, scruffy pair of jeans, a scruffy green hooded top, nothing fancy.
Mm.
What is he walking as? Smart shirt, smart trousers, and a leather jacket swung behind him like that. And a little bit of a swagger. I'm like, oh my God, it's a date. Oh my God. And I tried to block it out of my head. It's not a date. It's not a date. You're out with your pal.
Oh
And
my
then
goodness.
It took him you took me, basically, we went for a movie. We had a bit of a lunch and whatnot. I was like, just a pal, just a pal, just a pal. Then we started talking a bit more. And then he gave me his very first kiss in an old man's pub,
Ah,
which is now a Sainsbury's.
No, that's true. That's...
I think
So
there's a
we
bit of
can't no
symmetry with
longer-
that.
I'm sorry, but we can no longer relive the place we had our first kiss.
No, yeah, it's a shame.
Unless you want to go behind the
Do
counters.
10, go to Sainsbury's, yeah.
That would work. Like if you could figure out like the geographical, like location of where exactly the pinpoint was, it could be in like the middle of the dairy section.
Oh no, this will be behind the counter.
Mm.
So if you want to knock behind the counter, you can do right next door to the Benson and Hedges and whatnot.
Oh wow, that's brilliant. And so I'm quite glad like Alice and I's first date was going for a walk around the park. The park hasn't been leveled yet. Well, so I can still be like, yeah, there was where I kissed you. Just where those Neds are dry humping. That's where I kissed you. There we go.
Always the romantic.
What's the
Oh,
thing?
yeah.
There used to be a comedian who, like, his big thing was about mathematics. So what he did was he got a sort of plot point, and he did where him and his partner had his first kiss, and where his partner proposed, and where his partner met for the first time, and then sort of triangulated the 3 points together. Unfortunately, it ended up in the middle of the North Sea. So he spent the rest of the. I believe he spent the rest of the time trying to rent dinghy prices.
Hang on. If we did the same thing for us for our first kiss and proposed and whatnot, would we be in Aviemore?
Probably something like that. Yeah.
Not as exciting as the North Sea, but Aviemore will do.
Right. So what was the three?
Grampians, yeah.
So what was the three? Like the first kiss where he proposed, and what was the third to make the triangle?
Where you first met. So
right, first met. Well, technically, mine's just is a line because like. Because I met Alison at Coatbridge College, and the first kiss was the park that was just next to the college, and then proposed in Edinburgh. So essentially, if I had to go in between that, I'd essentially just wind up Bathgate. Well, we'll just go stand in the train tracks. Our life's a fucking train wreck anyway. Let's go for it.
No, listen. If you don't go, you don't go, and
exactly.
Trying to triangulate now.
No, you want to do that just now. Here.
Oh, he can do that. Well, he can do that while I'm asking.
All right.
No, this will be gold because he can work that out while I'm asking you, like, for getting into like the comedy side of it. Have you ever thought about, trying to go in a bit more? Because I know obviously you did your ginger ale and things like that, but have you ever thought about like trying to take a bit more steps forward with it?
It was weird because I was never really into comedy until I first started dating him. Now, when I finished university, I was actually qualified in techie, like technical theatre stuff, all the background stuff. Yeah. So when we got involved, I've always said I'm the background and he's the pretty face. So I did so when it came to comedy gigs, I did the lighting, the sound, the stage management. I did bouncer on the door. I did everything. Even during
Yeah.
the Fringe shows, I did everything like that. So I was so used to working backstage and let him be in the wee bunny face that he is. That I never really wanted to venture out. I have done it a few times, but it's only on my terms if I wanted to. It's never been something I wanted to do on a more regular basis, just because I am not that confident enough
Yeah.
to be able to do it. I think it's all down to mentality as well, because I look at it from a point of view that if I know I've got a funny story to tell, because all my jokes and whatnot are based on true life, based on true stories.
Yeah.
And I've had a weird couple of stories I've told in the past. So I think if I were to do more stuff in comedy, I'd probably do more of the background stuff, because that is my comfort zone. That is my security blanket, rather than be out on stage. The only time I'll be out on stage is if I'm actually performing, like a theatre, anything like that. But I haven't done a theatre for a while. So, oh well.
How long has it been since you've tread the boards? Because at time of recording, I am 10 years.
Well,
well, you got your performing arts degree in 20.
Don't make me feel old. Don't make me feel old.
Well, I got my diploma in 2013, so there you go. We can work that out together.
12 years ago, I got my degree. I've been doing on and off staging stuff till about 2018, 2019. And I haven't done much since then. But then again, it's literally as soon as COVID hit, I haven't been able to do anything since.
Sort of closed up.
Yeah, well, at least you've got a legit kind of excuses, like, COVID stopped the entire world. And it was just like, okay, we're stuck. So at least you've got that. Because mine was just like, I did a show, I was happy with it. Bye. I just grabbed my bag like 8 Mile and fucked off.
I just realized, Chris, behind your head, it looks like the fun is like a hat fascinator.
Oh, it's brilliant. It's just like,
Look, I did look it up. So halfway between Coatbridge and Edinburgh's, hey, you're right, it's Bathgate specifically.
Boom! Yes.
Specifically,
I failed geography big time.
Specifically, the Tesco Superstore in Blackburn Road.
Oh, right. At the time of this recording, it's Alison's birthday tomorrow.
Oh, happy birthday, Alison.
I've already got plans, but if I'd known that beforehand, I'd be like, we're off to Bathgate.
I think they've got a cafe, but I'm not 100% in that, so you might need to check that first.
Hey, that could be something else. Like I've been saying, like since me and Alison have had like a bit of like the separation. Like I do what I call middle-aged dating. Like we'll all take her to like garden centers and cafes and stuff. Like if we've got like a wee spare.
Don't. He starts to do that recently.
I've done that a bit recently.
Right, garden centers specifically.
Only because you've got quite interested in gardening recently, so I think that's kind of why.
Well, there is one New Stevenson garden centre there, and it's lovely food. I hate gardening. I hate the outside world, as you know, but they've got an absolutely banging cafe. So yeah, that's somewhere you could check out. Definitely.
I think the best garden centres always have good cafes.
They do.
Aberdeen, the one outside Minlaw, that was always a really good one.
Yeah.
How? We're all in our 30s here. We're all comparing garden centre cafes. Well,
you have to realize, like Christopher will realize this. Like I will always take like certain points of a conversation to put into the title. So one of them that is going in right now is garden centre cafes, because then I know mainly because then I'll know my dad will definitely listen, thinking I'm talking about gardening, and then I'll be like, no, wait, he's talking about food. That wee bastard.
Oh, he's got a lovely conifer. Oh, I say, he's got a lovely conifer.
Yeah. Well, in fairness, I do actually know a guy, Sean Mooney, I went to college with, who did acting, and he has a YouTube channel called Dafty in the Garden. He talks about all his gardening stuff. And I did recommend it to my dad, because I was like, because he's got like his wee greenhouses and stuff. He got really into his greenery, and I was like, well, you know what? I'm going to interview a gardener. And he's like, what is it? I'm not coming on your show. And I'm like, no, I know you. What?
I like that, Dafty in the Garden. I like that.
Yeah, definitely look it up. Like, yes, like he's very much the Dafty in the Garden, and he's also a great guy as well. So it's fair.
Fantastic.
I'm sure the links will be in the description.
Well, links will be in the description. Don't worry. Like we have to just like sprinkle them in. we sprinkle them in, as you know. Well, but you'd also we're doing a little bit of the content creating yourselves, my friends. Like you were doing
Indeed, yes.
the Ginger Games board. So for the audiences that will be watching, like tell them, also tell them how it came about. I mean, I know the gist, but they don't. And why specifically board games?
Well, this mental ginger guy asked me if I wanted to do a podcast about board games. I can't remember his name. No, it's completely gone.
No, was it Prince Harry?
No, something like that.
Something like that, yeah.
No, we've always been very interested in board games. Sort of, I think, probably stemmed from growing up. Both our families take board games extremely seriously.
No. Your family take it extremely seriously. My family does it seriously, but you got to cheat.
Yeah,
you've got to cheat. He's totally against it.
This is why we haven't done an episode for months.
Because like, I want to do one with the family and what.
I know.
Like we can never play. Like in my house, Trivial Pursuit is always a big game to play, but the only game that they have is like from 10, 15 years ago. So all the questions are really old. So it's trying to remember half the stuff that happened 10, 15 years ago. And every time my mom and dad try and help any one of us, Chris like, no, you don't do this. You don't do this. It's not allowed. And mom's like, it's allowed. Like, no, you only cheat for youngins. You only...
Even then, I don't.
Out of I am the baby in the family. Technically, that's allowed for me. That's allowed for me.
No, but that would be interesting, though, like because obviously, as you guys know, I have twins. It's like so. If we're going like only the youngest is allowed to cheat, Connor's the youngest by 1 minute. So that means Kieran would be shafted. He'd be like, "Life's unfair, son." Bang.
Although it is a good get out of jail card, that is, isn't like it? Because that could be the new rule that only the youngest is allowed to cheat. The one actually use it once, and then they can't use it for the rest of the game.
Yeah, because you see,
I like that. Oh, can we use it? Can we use it next time?
Well, we'll do it in the next.
in
I'm
the
totally
next
using
episode.
it against my mom and dad.
Yeah,
because
that's it. Yeah, but that's something that we find interesting because like the boys really like their board games. Kieran is an absolute whiz in Monopoly Peppa Pig. Like he is going to like probably like financially cripple us. Like he's that good. Connor's like he can be he more likes his artistic kind of games and stuff, but he still loves his games. Like he loves ironically Pop the Pig, where you just feed the pig and it just goes kablooey.
Oh, Gorman.
Yeah, so we've got that. Like they've got Pop-Up Pirate, but a Super Mario version. So basically, if there's any Super Mario,
I don't remember that because I remember one of the sort of later episodes of the
when you were in Greece, weren't you?
Went to Greece and found that.
Mm-hmm.
literally blowing your budget tenfold to do that, but we did it.
I don't know. Technically, we didn't go specifically to Greece, specifically for board games.
No,
it was just an extra.
Yeah.
And then extra for a lot of board games that cost a lot of funds.
Yeah. In fairness, that is an episode that you guys should check out. Their time in Greece. It was pretty fun.
Again, links below the description.
It was just quite extraordinary because we didn't actually realize what was going to do it until we saw the massive toy center in the middle of like the Lawyer Marketplace. Yeah, like, let's go in. But the problem is that neither of us speak Greek, so it's like, right, okay, can we recognize any of the games?
Peppa Pig, Monopoly,
Peppa Pig, Monopoly.
Yeah.
Labyrinth was actually quite a big thing.
Yeah.
And I've never seen Labyrinth. Well, saying that, it's actually been re-advertised. So that's the reason why it's been blown out.
That, yeah. So it seems that might be like the big board game for Christmas. Sort of Labyrinth's been making quite a comeback recently.
Yeah. But it was basically any like kind of game that gets a Mario twist now, because that's the 2023 popular thing. My boys are just in amongst it, like rats up a drain pipe. They love it.
I would love that.
But they do love their board games as well. Like they've been starting them off like Snakes and Ladders and Ludo and all this kind of stuff. Like so, yeah, it's very soul crushing when you get your ass handed to you by a 5-year-old.
In that case, do not play frustration.
Yeah, well, basically Ludo, that is essentially frustration without the wee ball thing.
That's right. Yes.
Yeah. So what? But it was quite funny because one of the times, like Kieran sussed out very quickly that if he landed on the spot where you can get them out, when you roll a 6, if he stayed there, then I couldn't get out. I was stuck for 20 fucking minutes. But every
At
time
least
it
you're not
comes out,
bitter about it or anything,
Oh
Andrew.
no, not bitter
No.
about it.
I wasn't better at the time. I was laughing my ass off because I was like, "You are such a maniacal git. I love you. You're taking no prisoners. This is the way it should be." So every time you get the
The
dice, I'm just
princess
like,
has become the master.
"Yep, that's the way." You always want your kids to have more than you had. What? I didn't beat my dad at anything until I was 17. So he's beat me at 5. That's my boy. I'm proud of him. Then we found out
Nicely
they're
done.
getting diagnosed as actual geniuses. So I was like, okay, fair dues. They're actually further ahead than expected. So I got beat by a 5-year-old with a 7-year-old's brain, essentially.
What to do now is like buy them like a Rubik's Cube. So right, there you go. Deal with that.
Yeah, but I don't want to give them something that I know in a heart of hearts that I can't do myself. Because they'd be like that.
I've
they-
never been able to get the hang of them. And
Yeah,
them-
because they do the whole.
No, I'm generally that's the one sort of mental block. I'm usually quite good with like sort of puzzles and games, but Rubik's Cube's just the one I can't get the hang of.
Hang on, time over for a second. You actually told me that you're able to do it. That's why you're so fascinated by it.
No, never been able to do one.
Oh, I think we may have kicked off a domestic on that Metal Ginger show. We've got our firsts for almost everything now. What? First domestic, first couples on. Oh, this is going to be fun.
It's all a bit of fun and interest and whatnot. Hang on,
d-
what's it got? What's it got?
What?
Domestic, you actually proved it.
Hey, right. So he's going to work out the Rubik's cube while we carry on the conversation. Is probably what's going to happen.
Well, while he's doing that, one time we were doing a Fringe Festival show, and we were doing like a mock version of Would I Lie to You? And there's one guy that came on saying, I can do a Rubik's Cube like that in under a minute.
Yeah.
And then
I remember that.
he
Fantastic.
basically that came up as true, and someone said, do it. He says, well, I've got one in my pocket. So he did it. And then beforehand, there was a comedian called Joby, and he used to play the ukulele, but he was able to play the Champions League theme on the ukulele. So imagine live on the Edinburgh stage, a ginger, heavily bearded man trying to do a Rubik's Cube.
Or a Scouse comedian playing an aria on a ukulele. It was
High
the
pitch and everything.
What about the weirdest 2.5 minutes whatever did at the Fringe?
Yeah, but did he do the Rubik's cube?
He did.
He did, yeah. It took
Wow.
half, but he still managed to do it.
that was under like a bit of pressure. Like, you know, you've got a guy standing there with a ukulele playing the Champions League theme.
Well,
in front of an audience where he's not expected to perform. It's like a put up or shut up moment. So good on him. But in fairness, like I bottle it just trying to do 5 minutes to stand up.
And I find that
I'd say just no clue what's. I mean, what you might do is like work like a color and then a side.
Yeah.
So,
But in fairness, like just like that Rubik's Cube ukulele player, you're trying to do this while also carrying on a conversation on a podcast with your wife and a random ginger guy. So
fair enough.
There's a lot of factors in here. It's like, give me the cube. No, my cube.
And he gave it to me.
In fairness, I can't blame him in the slightest. It's like, you guys know I do a channel about Thomas the Tank Engine, and like, so if I'm having to watch like content for what, you know, for like a review or a ranking or whatever, and Alison's like, Andrew, switch off of Thomas. No, this is important. This will make me 10 pence. What? She's like, well, if you're going to watch it, at least do it on your portable DVD player. That's fine. Just bog off to the dining room.
10p for these, blooming hell.
That was it.
Everything counts. It's all good.
Well, at the time of this recording, we actually broke over £10 on the Ginger Engine. First time doing double digits. So yeah, I was quite chuffed because all the people that look at me and go, "Oh, isn't he special? Because he does stuff about talking choo-choo trains." And I'm like, I made a tenner, run you. Because all I needed.
In Forest Falls, they can always say Prince Harry's doing well.
That's true.
In fairness, I don't mind the Prince Harry ones because the one I get all the time, as you guys know, is Frankie Boyle.
Well, that's true.
That's true. Hang on, what was the one that you had? Oh God, what was it?
Evil Andrew Durning.
Yeah. I used that for a show reel for a while.
Yeah.
Like where you said, like I said, you treated on my good name and it's fucking war. Like because I was promoting the Gentle Dorks at the time.
like when I was younger, Meg Hucknall was the one that was mentioned him quite a few times.
Oh,
I know I got Chucky from the Rugrats. So
Chucky from the Rugrats as well.
yeah. Oh, recently I got Carrot Top
Wow.
Oh,
What?
God,
because it was
that's
at
a
the.
niche reference in the UK. Huh?
That's what I
Oh
say.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It was because we
Only
were
a small minority of people actually don't know who Carrot Top is, and the reason
Yeah.
why you were talked about.
Yeah, it was basically because there was another comedian that it was one of the Junkyard New Material nights.
Okay.
And a guy, the headliner came in, what he's what ginger bearded guy, uses props. And they looked at me and went, "I could see you being the next Carrot Top," and I was like, "Thanks, you fucker." I did not know how to respond to that, especially because people from my support group had came to see me for the first time doing this, and I was shitting myself. It's like, thanks, guys.
No, I'll say the one decent thing I see Carrot Top do was
Leave.
No, they were on an episode of the Weakest Link, the like original US one with Anne Robinson on it, and
Yeah,
it's nice to see ginger person get absolutely cut to shreds by a British ginger person.
Well, in fairness, we did try and go and see him because it was about 10 years back. Well, because we went for my mom's 50th and she's now 60. Well, so we went over to Las Vegas for it, like me, my brother, and my dad, and we saw Carrot Top was there, and I was itching to go just to say that I'd seen a fellow ginger doing something in Vegas. Well, but no, he was sold out. He was sold out right through to September, and I'm like, this is March. There's no chance. Well, we're gonna get in, but I was just like, it's good to see a ginger guy on a big billboard in Las Vegas plying his trade. I was like, so I had to give him his due. Then
He's
also
probably dying from the heat as well. But
that's why you go to Vegas. Everything is air conditioned. And it's like because like you can like 2 or 3 casinos are linked to each other and you can just cross through them and you're like, okay, right, I just need to cross at this one road. Right, go. Like, and it was good because we were there in March, it was milder. So I didn't need to worry about I only had to put on like sunscreen, I think, one day out of the whole week. And I was like, yes.
For some reason, I thought you said you only put an SPF factor 1. That's everything.
No, I had the factor 60. It was there. But you get weird looks when you're getting SPF 60 in March. And they're like, where are you off to, mate? And I'm like, off to Vegas. And at this point, like, this was just after I'd got beat up by meds. Like, I had my front teeth knocked out. So I had these like wee falsers, like temporary falsers for going. My mouth is like that.
Oh,
and I'm picking up factor 60. Thanks to the boots are like, I think
the one thing about it, it's always in that really milky white colored bottle.
Yes.
Just to literally single you out from everyone else. Like, oh no, everyone else can get it from the Sultan range. It probably looks like bronzer and stuff like that. No, you get the milky white bottle, the translucent orange stuff on it. So everyone knows.
It's not that the milky white bottle is always the baby section.
Oh yeah. Yeah. It's like nowadays if I'm like, yeah. The advantage is now if I'm going like to get that stuff and they're like, oh, is it for the kids? Beforehand it was like, yeah. Now I'm like, yes, I have twin boys. Thank you. Blah blah blah. And fuck off, and off I go. It's like at least
it's all good.
they have their advantages, but then when they go, oh, where are they off to holiday? Hull.
Yeah. Quite.
I have been sunburned several times in Hull. Every time that I went with Alison, like to see her brother every year, somehow I would wind up sunburned. But the best part was one of the years we went and like I got sunburned. We went to one of the animal wildlife park things. And I knew I was going to get sunburned. I was like, fuck it. I know what to do. I mean, you'll know yourself. If you suspect there's sunburn, you've already got the after sun already in the fridge. You're ready to go. You've got your routine ready for when that happens. And she's laughing at me, getting myself sorted. She's like, ha ha ha, like you got sunburn and how? And I went, Alison, are you feeling warm by any chance? And she was like, I just thought it's because I was laughing at you. And I'm like, no, you're going bright red. She got it too. And she was complaining, and she's like, "Oh my god, I'm dying." I'm like, "Leave it to the master."
No, I think the absolute worst one is when you get sunburnt when it's snowing. That's not just.
No, like during the COVID pandemic, I had to work outside all the time for
Ooh.
12 hours because I was doing security.
Eek.
I was sunburned every day. I was at one point I used to put that much sun lotion on. I would still come home with massive white glasses marks.
Oh
all the way down.
yes.
And at the time, you also had to wear your mask as well.
Mhm.
So I had a white mouth, red cheeks,
Uh-uh.
a white stripe here. So you have not experienced
I
that.
know.
Mm.
I
I've
was burnt for a full year.
Yeah, I've experienced a similar kind of thing, like like where I've had the glasses line with the sunburn, and because I had the beard as well. At that point, I couldn't grow a full beard; it was just basically like neck beard.
Yeah.
Well, so it was like red, 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 white, red, 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 red. It was just like, oh my! I was like, yeah, I got the nickname Zoidberg.
Oh, fair enough.
So of course, for the rest of the time that I was on this holiday, I started walking around going, "What?" That's hard to do when you're sitting down, like in a tiny little bit in your office space. Like, people be looking at it like, what is he smoking?
Hey, listen, if it passes you the time, it passes you the time.
Exactly. It helps deal with the burdening of the crippling loneliness in my soul.
No.
That's the way I look at
No.
it. Now, we are starting to come up on time. So, first of all, I'll ask Christopher John Stephen where they can find you on the socials before I round off with the final question, which I can ask Debbie. So, Christopher, where can they find you? Sell.
Yeah, you can find me as Christopher John Stephen. Been sort of doing stand up on and off for the past wee while, just sort of sporadic appearances. There's also Ginger Ale Comedy. The sort of page still exists. Just got sort of details of some of the stuff we've done over the years, and also check out Squimprov, spelled SCW. IMPROV. That's sort of group we've been doing with the Great Ray for Dice and sort of a couple other ragtag folk. We recently just did our first sort of guest spot at sort of improvisers gig, and yeah, it sort of went really well. So just check us out there, basically.
Yep. And Debbie, because it's a mental health show, the one question that I'll ask you, which Christopher will know as well from his time on, if you could give one piece of advice to anybody that's struggling with mental health issues at this point in time, what would that piece of advice be and why?
Now, I had last year last year's that hasn't been great in general. And the one thing I would say is you're not alone. And make sure that you tell people your situation. Because I was at one point where I was struggling for months and months. One person I told was Chris, because I would come home crying. Yeah. And it was just, I didn't want to tell it anyone because I felt as if I was a failure. I had to be the strong one. I had to be the more positive. I had to be there for everyone else. It's okay to be sensitive. It's okay to have something wrong. But it is okay to tell people as well what you're going through. And the more people that you tell what you're going through, the more love and support that you get. Yeah. If you ever do feel that you are alone, talk to somebody. It could be anyone. It could be your sister, your dad, your dog, if you want to, if you don't have any company. You're not alone. You have love, you have support, and most of them do come with a lot of knowledge and hugs and sympathy. Just remember that.
Great advice, Debbie. And honestly, when I'd seen that you weren't doing well, I wanted to make sure that you were all right. I know how much of a shitter it can be when you're in that dark place. You guys have seen me in it. But the best part is there's always a way out. And I knew that you would find your way out because you've got a great husband there. You've got great support. You've got people that really love and care about you. And that's why I was glad to get you on today to let you know that I have so much fucking respect for you both. And thank you both so much. So everybody, I've been Andrew Durnan. Yeah. Oh, yay, we got an I love you on here. Yay. Yes. I'm like, Allison, you don't love me. Look at that. That's love. Thank you so much for coming on. It's been an absolute blast seeing you again.
Thank you so
letting-
much for
Thanks
having us
having
on.
us.
Yeah. So until next time, everybody, I've been Andrew Durning. These have been the brilliant Christopher John Stephen and Debbie Stephen. Until next time, take care. Stay
Okay.
safe.
Bye.
Bye bye.